Cannabis Intervention Project receives National Institute of Health backing. This is hot off the press from WSU Insider. A communication project that aims to reduce cannabis misuse among young adults recently earned a National Institute of Health grant for about almost $700,000. With the 3-year award, the Washington State University researchers will refine and test technology-based intervention aimed at young people in 3 states where cannabis has been legalized. The project has a particular focus on cannabis edibles, which have become increasingly popular and whose effects are often misunderstood. With legalization, cannabis-infused products have proliferated, and so has cannabis-related marketing and advertising. What our prior research has shown is that when adolescents and young adults are not necessarily educated consumers when it comes to cannabis, said Stacy Hoost, WSU professor at the Morrow College of Communication. Hoost and Jessica Wilby, also a Morrow faculty member, are co-principal investigators on the grant. Morrow College Dean Bruce Pinkleton said the NIH funding is a career grant for Dr. Hoost and Dr. Wilby. This Morrow College faculty members are outstanding researchers, and the funding is a testament to the strength and quality of their work. Their work is important, and I expect their success to continue. Thank you for cheerleading your staff like that. That's awesome. The project grew out of years of work led by these two who ran the research lab on media, adolescence, and cannabis. The team has co-directed the research group for approximately 8 years, conducting multiple projects that have received internal and external grants and contracts, including Washington State University, Washington State's dedicated marijuana account grant program, and the lab's past research included surveys of young adults, including in-depth interviews in partnership with King County to understand what they knew about cannabis edibles and how they interpreted cannabis edible packaging. In particular, the answers, unfortunately, were not clearly, they weren't clear enough. So scientists have long known that cannabis can interfere with brain development and cognition, and that the human brain continues to develop until at least age 25. So regardless, cannabis use continues to be popular among young adults, with one study showing that 53% of college students have used cannabis in their lifetime and 26% in the last month. This led the team to develop an intervention, essentially a mixed media video and a PowerPoint presentation hosted by a former cannabis marketer. It seeks not only to highlight the health risks, but also reduce harm by debunking myths and empowering users to better assess cannabis products for themselves, including THC content and portion sizes. Yes, please. For example, the intervention points out that many people often think a common brand of cannabis-infused soda represents 1 serving, when it actually contains 10 servings. It highlights the importance of reviewing labels, which the team's previous work and work of others have often shown is a priority for young adults. Preliminary results from a proof of concept study showed that the intervention positively influenced cannabis knowledge and confidence in the ability to use cannabis responsibly, as well as increasing awareness of health risks. The grant will allow the researchers to further refine the intervention with focus groups or unfocused groups if they're under the influence, and assess its efficacy by running tests with larger groups of young people. In addition, the researchers will also test it with college students in Illinois and New York, where cannabis has also been legalized. The team will develop modules of the training that could be tailored to the regulations and consumer environment of each state. The NIH grant will also allow the researchers to add interactive components to the intervention to improve its appeal to college students. So, Saman, your article inspired me. I think that there's a twofer in teaching younger people, both of consumption age and prior to consumption age, about what it means to take edibles and how they can de-risk that experience. I think the money that we spend educating those people is offset by no hospital visits, no Los Angeles fire departments responding to calls, or at least a decrease in those costs to society. And as a father, more than once, I don't want this experience for my kids, but also the industry benefits, because if somebody has a negative experience early on in their cannabis journey by over-consuming an edible, they're far less likely to be a customer in the future. So I love this. And I love the fact that instead of saying that it's parents' responsibility or the school's responsibility, which is true, that the federal government is putting resources towards the apparatuses that it already has stood up to be able to create the educational content and the awareness. And so this is a happy story to me. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News.
See, look at that, Yarrow. I was just saying how we need more resources for parents.
Exactly. I mean, I
think
also,
it's a great story.
I also think that like part of this is as a young adolescent, when you're learning about nature and when like there's a lot of groups in our societies that do that. They take their kids foraging. They teach their kids about medicinal plants in nature, and that's kind of what this is. No kid is like jamming out to like go pick mullein and lavender. It's just not happening. It's like cannabis is a medicinal herb. This is what it is. It's nothing else. And so when you sensationalize these things for young kids who turn into young adults who look at behaviors and emulate those behaviors, this is the risk. So you teach them about the medicinal value of these things and how it can improve life and how it can help people who are injured, who are sick, get better. And this is the thesis. And that's what should remain. But yeah, I'm glad to hear all these resources that people are acknowledging that there needs to be something. There's a lack in our society, and the younger generation is the one that's suffering. They don't want to be traumatized. They want to be living an abundant life.
Right, but kids aren't taking it because it's good medicine. They're taking it because they want to catch a buzz.
No,
but that's
just the same
reason they're drinking, the same reason they're doing mushrooms.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, Todd. If you're showing these kids that, hey, look at this sick kid that's like has leukemia or has Dravet syndrome or something like that, and they take cannabis, they use cannabis medicinally to help with their illness, then it's a different psychosomatic thing. In this young developing brain, they're like, wow, that it's not looked at as this recreational usage thing like beer and like.
Well, Adderall is prescribed for ADD, right? But that's a recreational drug. In middle schools and high schools.
In kids, it's prescribed. In adults, it's.
I'm just saying, right? So it's all because the human being wants to catch a buzz. I'm a believer. Look, I'm a believer in this education. I'm a believer that cannabis is always medicine. Whether you smoke it for medicine or you smoke it to catch a buzz, it's always medicine. I believe that. But as a kid, kids just want to get high. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on, Todd. I think what Saman is really saying is that if you take the approach when they're young and you teach them this, then the stigma is gone, and they're not in the space of generally where they go into that mode of I just want to get high.
Right, but I think the stigma is there.
We're talking about the same age group that ate fucking Tide Pods, okay?
Right, right.
Or not, we have an age of exploration, and
that's exactly my point.
Kids are going to do the stupid stuff because they're at this place where they don't have great judgment and decision-making capabilities.
They're following their friends.
Saman is talking about is normalizing it so it's a little less exciting, and they don't think of it as like the cool thing to do. But I love this idea that the federal government, which has massive resources, most of which they've siphoned out of our pockets, is
all of it siphoned out of our pockets.
Because
all of it.
$700,000 that they are putting towards this educational pursuit is nothing compared with the overregulation and burdensome extra costs of edibles packaging that they keep foisting on the regulated industry on a state-by-state basis. And so if we think about this amortized over every operator and every dispensary and every package of gummies, it makes a lot of sense to educate people instead of trying to dummy-proof an intoxicating product.
100%.
CPG and mainstream product.
I mean,
good education creates good legislation. It creates knowledgeable consumers. It's necessary. This is a great story. I'm not fighting you. I'm just trying to give you the perspective of the kid. But you're right. If you normalize it, the more we normalize
the guy that's the closest age to kids is the one saying he's giving you the perspective of the kids, you guys.
Yeah, being a parent has taught me one thing: monkey see, monkey do. And when they see you enjoying yourself and you're smoking your weed or whatever, or drinking a beer, that kid's burned into their psyche, and they're like, "Oh, that's how adults have fun, and I want to be an adult." And that's what. I'm And so that's look. It's all these perspectives are valid, by the way. This isn't like mutually exclusive to one side of this story here. It's like all these things are relevant. As a society, we need to evolve on these things, like kind of like the European stance on alcohol, right? It's like it's not looked at as this like super special like thing that's held on this pedestal, and these kids in high school are like getting blackout drunk in Europe. It's not happening. It's just not happening.
No, 100%.
Go ahead, Todd. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I'm sure they party, but it's like it's not the same as it is here. So that's all.
Right, and look, what makes kids want to do things also is when they're told they can't do it, right? When you never want to do something more than when you said you can't do that. But wait, let me finish. So, pot has been illegal for their whole lives, right? It's slowly becoming legal, right? And they see it more and more and more. So it does have to be normalized. Yeah. And the sexiness of the illegalness, right? They don't even want to do it that much anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, whatever. It's just weed. I can just go to the store and get something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So legal weed is definitely normalizing, for kids because they see it on the corner. They see the sign. They see the advertising.
Well, I will say.
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I was making a manifest because some of us have to work.
Oh boy. Well, I was just gonna say, I agreed with you, Jenny Beth. I think the federal government needs to put more resources into educating parents about kids dabbing Tide Pods as well.
For sure. Is there education on alcohol that's available for parents so they could sit down and say, don't drink 30 shots of something?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, and I don't know about the Tide Pod thing, Jason, because if my kid ate a Tide Pod, as long as it got them over to the washing machine,
they weren't eating
laundry.
They weren't eating them. They weren't eating them, bro. They were dabbing them. Yarrow.
They're eating the dogs.
Yeah, they eat the dogs and they eat the cats and they dab the Tide Pods.
I mean, we're talking about the age of children that are dying from a one-chip challenge. Like, come on. Like, because the kid's like, I can't drink the water. I'm going to lose the challenge. Well, you're dead, ding-dong head. So, I mean, like, I think that we really just need to be aware and, like, understand, meet them where they are, because I love my son very much. Is he the most reasonable person in the world? No. My child has a conniption fit and the world ends when he ruins his season on college football on Xbox, right? So, like, we need to realize, well, he looks just like me. It's okay. He's handsome. But
well, we do.
I think we just need to be more reasonable and realize that, like, they're gonna do it. Let's not take it from this, like, prohibitionist standpoint where we can stop them, because the second they're out of our control. Do y'all remember the skating rink, the place where for $4 you drop your kid off for 5 hours and expect teenagers to watch them all day?
Too dangerous.
The second that we're out of the sight, they're out of our sight, they're out of our control. And so it's really just about having reasonable conversations, and from a standpoint of, if you do this, this will happen. Here's how you keep this from happening.
And I was over 40 before we started doing the one chip challenge. I mean, we waited. That's an age-restricted activity as well.
Did you do it?
Is
it hot?
Not as hot as you, but yeah, it was definitely spicy.
All right. Well, the C word.